What a pleasure it is to be here. I want to thank the group for inviting us, UGEEP, to participate today. Really an awesome opportunity for us to be here. You know, I'm Charlie Dixon. I'm Safety and Workforce Training Administrator, so I get to take my safety hat off today and talk about workforce development a little bit. I'm sure you're all ready for a little stretch break, so everybody stand up. Why don't you stand up for me? So those of you that were thinking about workforce for the Utica Shale 5 years ago, go ahead and sit down. 5 years ago. Go ahead, sit down, it's okay. Wow. You know, I spent a lot of time, everybody can go ahead and sit down now. With UGEEP, I actually started with UGEEP in 1999 as we started to develop a emergency response program for firefighters, which is one of the first of its kind. And so we spent a lot of times with BS before shale, okay? And so today we're talking about the future of shale and talking about workforce. And with that in mind, it's about collaboration. A lot of you are here today to collaborate. A lot of you hope to walk away with probably a little more than collaboration about some of the things that I'm going to talk about that's going to provide the answers for us when it comes to what does the future hold for us. So with that in mind, we continue to develop a lot of things working with, collaborating with schools, public officials, many of you that are here today, many schools, a lot of great schools that are here today as well. And we're here to let's get Ohio on track and get the workforce prepared. We've got to do that. One of our issues is we're playing catch up. When you look at career and technical education, and I'm a firm believer, I got to start in career and technical education as a fire and EMS educator, but I still remember about the time I was graduating was when career and tech schools were just getting started here in Ohio back in the early 70s. And it's been the best kept secret still today. We've had so many changes. I know career and tech schools that sold all their machine tool trades, you know, sold all those things. I had the interesting opportunity here not long ago to be down in Lebanon, Ohio, which is about as far away as you can get from a shale well. And I was walking around beforehand. I didn't have anything on to indicate that I was oil and gas. And there was a lady there with a small machine tool company. She had some nice pictures, and she had a picture of an offshore drilling rig. So I said to her, you know, I'm in Warren County, Ohio, Lebanon, high schools, and here's this picture of an offshore drilling rig. I said, what's this all about? She says to me, she goes, well, we make parts for a company, you may or may not know them, but we make parts for a company called Halliburton. I'm like, really? Okay. But the sad thing to her story is she went on to tell me about the Warren County region of their career and technical education for machine tool trades, which had room for over 60 students and had less than 12 enrolled in the program. What a tragedy. What a tragedy. Again, my question was basically, how our workforce needs change? The answers all lie in, again, why we're here today collaborating. Economics, engagement, education, articulation, and collaboration. One of the things that UGEEP is pretty well known for, and there's been a lot of economic studies since ours came out in 2011, was an economic impact study, and talked about where we were going to be by 2015. Well, as of last year, our projection for a workforce was around 102,000 different jobs, both direct and indirect. And what we saw with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services is more like for the first quarter of 2013 was something like 169,000 plus jobs, both direct and indirect. A lot of people still say, well, where's it at? Where's it at? I was in Carrollton yesterday afternoon, saw the 2 hotels under construction. That's where it's at. I've been up in you know, the SIO plant, how amazing. How about those guys, the SIO plant got together and through collaboration and communications was able to ease the propane shortage in eastern Ohio. You know, what collaboration happened there? There's just a lot of things going on that people don't see. You know, we traveled the state. We were over in Darke County. Sean Bennett and I went over to Darke County and talked with those folks, and they started to realize that we probably are not going to be hydraulically fracturing there anytime soon. So that put their mind at ease. So, but talking about workforce, and again, when we look at the numbers, when you look at the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics, what they're saying, are the numbers true? Well, they certainly are. We see schools who are preparing themselves, who are, again, realizing that they have the potential to educate for the future. We have to start educating for that future, or we will be left behind. And we're starting to see that. You know, there's a lot of programs that there's short-term training, there's long-term training, and I'll touch a little more on that. When you look at the Department of Job and Family Services, again, if you haven't seen this document, get online and look at it. Look and see what it says. And the top 10 job growth, the fourth item is extraction. We have to see, you saw this morning already about extraction, and again, some of its impact. We're probably not going to see a huge amount of jobs as far as the upstream, but a lot of jobs in the midstream, a lot of jobs in the downstream, and jobs in that upstream. And we are getting prepared. We are seeing people being hired. You heard some numbers already this morning. We're seeing those. We have to believe in those, but we also have to start educating people and engaging them to get them to understand why this is so important to all of us. When we think about the third quarter report that's already been mentioned this morning, 36 years ago today, I was at the Bladensburg Volunteer Fire Department. I had been there for almost 72 hours after getting off of a cable tool drilling rig, working the midnight shift when the blizzard of 78 hit. I will never forget that, never ever forget that. But in 1978, in the 70s, we drilled 6,000 wells in this state. We had a boom in the Clinton sandstone. We had a lot of things going. We couldn't wait to get pipe. We had trouble getting pipe, to put in the hole. We had trouble even with a workforce at that time. The only reason I was there is because a good friend of mine came over to see me, and he was driving a brand new Ford F-150 pickup truck. I was working on a dairy farm milking cows. He came over and said, "Where'd you get that?" "I'm working in the patch." By God, I went to the patch. I decided to go to the well patch. And so I finally got me one of those pickups, but a few years down the way. But anyway, when we engage people, this is how we have to engage people. Many of you know Rhonda. I've told her many times, this is one of the most engaging posters. When we go into the schools, when we do public presentations, which of these products do you have in your home? Talking to some sixth graders at a school not far from here the other day, and I said, "How many of you have a cell phone?" 85% of them raised their hand. I'm like, wow, sixth graders. That scares me, okay? I said, "Do you realize what that case is made from?" We have to engage people. They have to understand. How about this? CNG, compressed natural gas. LNG. Saw the van from Zane State out front. Tim, where you at? Thanks for bringing that. Again, that's where it's at, folks. Engagement, engaging people to understand where we're headed. Here's the drill. When we look at what's going on out there, and we think about, we had projected in our economic impact 785 wells drilled. We ended up with 679. But how about those production numbers? Again, I think we've been overwhelmed, but look at what our industry has done to start. Over 6 different major fractionation plants that are either under construction, partially constructed, in operation, and there's talk of expansion of those already. Education. I want to take a minute to talk about education. And we at UGEEP are firm believers in the importance of STEM, as you all should be believers in the importance of STEM. When you look at where the U.S. ranks when it comes to STEM worldwide, when you look at what we need to do to engage students, in our industry, it's about the science. It's about the technology. You know, it's about the engineering. I have a good friend who was building great oils just right here within, what, a couple miles. He's a reservoir engineer now. He was a mechanical engineer, and he is now a reservoir engineer. So, education, we have to really work on that. The concepts. One of the things I want you to leave here today, no offense to the folks from Pennsylvania or if anyone's from West Virginia, but in 1814, the Thurlow McKee group, couple men were drilling for brine, drilling for rock salt, Noble County, Ohio, and they probably looked a little bit like that upper picture there. And as they were drilling for that, they struck oil and they got gas. So these concepts of where we come around today, again, when I look at and go out and marvel at one of the currently ODNR, I think list we have 41 big rigs running. Wow, I think about that cable tool rig that I worked on, and I think, wow, you know, the science, the technology. Who would have ever thought we'd have seen a satellite truck? Education, we have to develop folks with critical thinking skills. Can't emphasize that enough. About reasoning, evaluating, problem solving, decision making, and analyzing. Skill enhancement. When, you know, I brought my pipe wrench out today, I got my iPhone here, and here's my Surface. How do we take some of those things? A couple of the folks have told me they can take this and turn it into some of the best equipment operators out there. Isn't that fantastic? If we can do that, we have to be creative as we do that. Education, we got an app for that. Here's my app. You know, this is what I grew up on. You know, this is my app. I'm a hands-on kind of guy. Between this and a 16-pound sledge dressing out a drill bit to drill a hole 4,000 feet deep. Okay, but then a lot of us have apps like this today. We have these kinds of apps. Look at where we've came and where we need to go. And we will continue to see this grow, this technology. We're going to continue to see it. So, you all hear about the generations, right? Where are you at in this category? Again, we could stand up, we could have people sit down, but I won't do that to you. When we look at this, our generation Y, 46% by 2020, ages 18. These are the folks who are figuring out how to make the plant at SCIO, the plant at Kensington, run with 36, 40 people, whatever it is. That's the age group that we need to be collaborating with. We need to be engaging. We have a lot of experience that's walking out the door every day. The average age in our industry here in Ohio is around 55 years old, and a lot of that's being lost. They can bring a lot back to the table, so let's keep that in mind. We don't want to risk our answers. Any of you, what's the question? Anybody ever ask Siri anything? Anybody? I asked her once, I said, is oil and gas the right job for me? And she essentially gave me 3 educational sites. With that articulation, we're doing that. We're bringing the schools together. I've seen Belmont, I think, you know, is here today, Belmont College, Zane State, what they're doing, Stark State, where you at? You're supposed to be here. I've seen Buckeye Career Center just across the road here. Again, we're bringing these folks together. So our Careers in Ohio series, we're pretty proud of it. We've got our scholarship applications out there. We gave out 40 scholarships last year. We gave some scholarships out to some folks who wanted to go to welding school. We want to get that word out. That's our future, folks. That's our future. Economics, engagement, education, okay, collaboration, and articulation. Thank you very much. Pleasure being here.